Is there a loophole in the 22nd Amendment term limit? Imagine a scenario where a president who has served 2 terms seeks to return to office after a break. The question arises whether the restrictions imposed by the 22nd Amendment of the United States Constitution can be circumvented. This amendment, ratified in 1951, explicitly states that no person shall be elected to the presidency more than twice. It also clarifies that, if someone has served more than 2 years of a term to which another person was elected, they are limited to 1 additional election. The core purpose of this amendment was to prevent any individual from holding the office of president for an excessive period, ensuring regular leadership change. It was motivated by Franklin D. Roosevelt's 4 terms in office, which prompted the constitutional change. The language of the amendment is quite clear in its restrictions, but some have speculated whether certain legal or constitutional interpretations could create a loophole. One potential avenue involves the concept of a person serving as president without being elected to the office. For example, if someone assumes the presidency due to the death, resignation, or removal of their predecessor, they are considered to have served less than 2 years of that term. According to the amendment, if they serve less than 2 years of a term, they may run for president 2 more times. This means that a person who has served less than 2 years of a previous presidency could potentially run for the office again, even if they have already served 2 elected terms. However, the key issue is whether this interpretation is legally valid and whether it could be challenged in court. The constitutional language is explicit, but the legal community generally agrees that the intent was to prevent any individual from accumulating more than 2 elected terms. The Supreme Court has not directly ruled on this specific loophole, but legal scholars tend to interpret the amendment as a clear limit on the number of times a person can be elected president. Another factor to consider is the possibility of a constitutional amendment that could alter or remove these restrictions. Such a change would requiring approval by 2/3 of both houses of Congress and ratification by 3/4 of the state legislatures. Until then, the 22nd Amendment stands as a firm limit on presidential terms. In summary, while some interpretative nuances exist regarding serving less than 2 years of a presidential term, the overall legal consensus is that the 22nd Amendment effectively prevents a person from serving more than 2 elected terms. No widely accepted loophole currently exists that would allow a person to bypass these restrictions without constitutional change.